Hey, this is Miss Sebastian, and we're going to look at area of triangles. What is the area of this figure? So I see three different triangles here. I'm sorry, two different triangles here. I see this triangle. I see this triangle. And then I also see the rectangle. Whoops, there we go, at the bottom. Okay, so let's find the area of each of these. So I'm going to start with the rectangle. The area of a rectangle is length times width. So all I need to do is multiply the length and width together. 3 times 45 gives me the area of that rectangle is 135 yards squared. Now I'm going to look at the blue triangle. It's the one over here on the right. Okay, and I'm going to erase the red. That way it's a little easier to see. Okay, so we know that the whole length of the whole bottom is 45, and we know that this part right here is 27. So we need to find this length just by doing 45 minus 27. And so that one is actually 18. So now we've got all of our measurements and we can find the area of our triangle. So I've got 1/2 times the base of 18 times the height of 16. And I do get the area of that triangle is 144, and that is yards squared. Now I'm going to do the purple triangle on the left. So I've got 1/2 times the base times the height. The base is 27 and the height is 16. So when I multiply that together, I get 216 yards squared. So now I've got to find the area of the entire figure. So all I'm going to do is add these up. 135 plus 144 plus 216. And when I add those up, I do get the area is 495 yards squared. Okay. On this one, we have find the area of the figure. Okay, and it looks like we have three rectangles. Okay, and I'm going to draw a line here and a line here. That way it's just a little bit easier to see. So the first one I'm going to find the area of is the green, and that's just going to be length times width. Okay, so I know that it is 21 feet tall and 5 feet wide. So I know that the area of that left rectangle is 105 feet squared. I also know that this one on the right is the exact same height and width. So I know that that rectangle is 105 feet squared. So now I'm going to do the bottom. Okay, I know that this is not 25 because that took into account the 5 here and the 5 here. So the actual length of this is 15. 25 minus 5 minus 5. Now I've got to figure out this little piece, the height here. And so all I do is I say, okay, all the way up and down is 21, and this part is 18. So I could subtract those and get the height is 30. So I'm going to say area equals length times width. The length is 15. The width is 30. And so when I multiply those, I do get 45, and that's feet squared. So now all I need to do is add these up. So I'm going to add 105 plus 105 plus 45. And I do get 255 feet squared. Okay, number 3. I have a triangle over on the right, and the triangle over on the left have the same dimensions. So I'm going to find the area of one of those. The base is 8, and the height is 6. So 1/2 times 8 times 6 gives us 24. And that is inches squared. So I'm going to put 24 down here and another 24, and we've covered both of our triangles. Okay, so now I've just got to find the area of this square, and it is 6 by 6. So all I need to do is multiply the length times the width, and I do get 36 inches squared. And when I add 24 plus 24 plus 36, I get 84 square inches. Okay, a park is shaped like a figure made up of a square and a triangle. The height of the triangular part is 26 meters. What is the area of the park? So I'm going to look down here at the square first. Okay, it's pretty easy. It's 42 meters on each side. So I'm going to do length times width, and that's just going to be 42 times 42. And I get 1,764 meters squared. So now I'm going to do the triangle up top. I've got 1/2 times the base times the height. I know the base is the same as the width of the triangle, which is 42, and the height is 26. So when I multiply 1/2 times 42 times 26, I get the area is 546. So now I've just got to add those two together. And I get 2,310 meters squared. Okay, question number 5. What is the area of this figure? Okay, so I see several different things. I see the rectangle here. So let's find that first. I see the length of the rectangle is this 7 plus 7, so this is 14. And the height is 4. So 14 times 4 is 56 millimeters squared. Now I'm going to look at the top triangle. Okay, and I see that that's 1/2 times the base times the height. The base is 14 and the height's 11. So that's 77 millimeters squared. Okay, and the last part of this is the bottom. Okay, so we know that it is also a 14 millimeters for the base, but its height is 3. So the area of this one is 21 millimeters squared. So for the entire area of the figure, I'm going to add up 56 plus 77 plus 21, and I do get that the entire area of the figure is 154 millimeters squared. Okay, on this one, you could divide several ways, but I'm going to divide right here. I see that this one is 4 times 3. So the area of that top corner is 12 centimeters squared. So I'm done with this part. Now, if this part is 5, this whole length, and I've already used 3 of it, then that leaves 2 for this part. Okay? So I'm going to go, whoops, sorry. I'm going to go all the way to right here. And I'm going to say, okay, I know that my height is 12 and my length is, or my width is 2 and my length is 12. So I can do another one over here. And I know that the area of this one is 24 centimeters squared. So now I've done all this as well. So now all I've got left is this 3 centimeter by 8 centimeter box. So I'm just going to multiply those and get 24 centimeters squared. So to find the total area, I'm going to add 12 plus 24 plus 24. And I do get 60 centimeters squared. Okay, what is the area of this figure? So I'm going to start up here on top. Okay, and I've got my area equals 1/2 times the base times the height. And I'm not sure of my base yet, so I'm going to check that in just a second. But I know that my height is 6. Okay, so I'm going to erase the part of the triangle that I added because you know which one I'm talking about now. But I see that this part is 2 inches. This part is 2 inches. And this part, whoops, is part of a rectangle that's equal to down here. So 2 plus 2 plus 8, that's 12. So now I can find the area of that triangle. So 1/2 times 12 times 6. So that's 36 inches squared. Okay, now I'm going to look, I'll change it to red. Okay, now I'm going to look at the small triangle over here. Okay, that one. And the one on the right is the same size. They're 2 by 11. So I'm going to do 1/2 times the base times the height. I'm going to multiply 2 times 11. 1/2 times 2 is 1, times 11 is just 11. And I do have 2 of those. So I'm going to just write it down twice so that I remember to add it. Okay, so last but not least, now I'm going to do the big rectangle. That's so pretty. Okay, so 8 by 11. So all I've got to do is multiply 8 by 11, and that gives me 88 inches squared. So my last step is just to take all my numbers and add them up. 36 plus 11 plus 88. And I get that my area is 135 inches squared. Okay, number 9. The figure is made up of 2 right triangles and a rectangle. So I see that this one is 5, the height is 12, and its base is 10. So 5 plus 12, the whole height of this one is 17. And same for the one on the left. It's 12 plus 5, so that is 17. So I only have to do the math part once. The base is 10, the height is 17. And when I multiply that, I get 85 meters squared. And I'm going to write that twice to cover both of those triangles. Now I'm going to look at the rectangle, and I see that's 35 meters by 12 meters. So the area equals length times width. So 35 times 12. So the area is equal to 420 meters squared. Okay, for that rectangle. Now all we have to do is take 85 and add 420 to it. And I do get that my area is 505 meters squared.